Thank you very much for listening to this week's talk on the Sedra of Emor that we read on Shabbat. And I think that among many lessons that we can learn from this Sedra and the events before and after Shabbat, the events specifically on Friday of the 14th of Iyar, which is Pesach Sheni, and the Tuesday after Shabbat is going to be Lag BaOmer. So from a combination of the Sedra and the lessons of Pesach Sheni and Lag BaOmer, I think we get special pointers as to how we can achieve Dveikut with Hashem. And Dveikut can be translated as a very special close bond of a relationship that we cultivate. And this is the modern Hebrew word of glue, devek, takes its root from this concept of this close bond. And I think that the various subjects in this week's Sedra that seem to be quite unconnected. We often find in a particular Sedra that the various paragraphs don't seem to have any kind of thread that flows through, but when we look at it on closer inspection, we actually find something that weaves it into a whole, and in this way is makes it more tangible for us to concentrate on the message and to internalize that message. So first looking at the themes of the Sedra of Emor, and the particular theme that I want to focus on in this concept of achieving closeness with Hashem, even though I think that all of the passages will in some way remove the distractions or the barriers to that relationship. But the area of focus is this idea of moed, which we find it in the context of the Ohel Moed, which is the tent of meeting, which you could say was the precursor to the Mishkan. It's that very special place of having where Hashem would appear to Moshe Rabbeinu and communicate with Moshe Rabbeinu, and so this is the concept of Ohel Moed. But then we see that this word, this untranslatable, one of the many untranslatable words that applies also in the context of the festivals that we learn about in this week's Sedra. And we actually have the words of the Kiddush, the special prayer that we make when we take the wine or whatever appropriate drink, and we make the special blessing on the Chagim, on the festivals, and the text for that is in this week's Sedra. And so this idea of achieving special closeness with Hashem, how does Hashem show us or give us the gift of the Moadim to help us do that? So we have the contrast of Shabbat and Shabbaton, which is Yom Kippur, that are directly from Hashem. There is no human involvement, if you like. They exist irrespective of what we do or who we are. And that although these are mentioned here, the Moadim, the festivals, they get this special mention. And we have this concept of the Moadim. We have it, the actual text of the Kiddush that we make on the Chagim. We find it in chapter 23, verse 37. Ele Moadei Hashem. These are the appointed festivals of Hashem. Asher tikru osom, that you will proclaim them. Mikroi Kodesh. They are holy callings. Lahakriv Isher LaHashem, to draw near a fire offering to Hashem. So this Eile Moadei Hashem Asher Tikru Osam Mikroi Kodesh, that is the first part of the Kiddush. And then in the later Pesukim of chapter 23, Vayedaber Moshe es Moadei Hashem el Bnei Yisrael. We also say that Pasuk as well. And Moshe declared the appointed festivals of Hashem to the children of Israel. So in contrast to Shabbat and Yom Kippur, where we have it from Hashem, the Jewish people here are, as it were, putting these special festivals, these special opportunities to have a close relationship, to have a close connection with Hashem, to dedicate ourselves, to take our foot off the gas pedal, come out of the car, let go of the steering wheel in the reverse order, and then realize what am I doing here? What is my purpose in life? And really contemplate and devote myself to Hashem during these rendezvous, during these opportunities for meeting with Hashem, which each one of the Chagim are: Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, the Shalosh Regalim, and we have also the unique festivals around Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. So that's a different category. But the idea that we are meeting with Hashem during these particular festivals, and the fact that they are called, we are given the opportunity through the calendar, through our organization of the calendar, through the witnesses at the time of the Bet HaMikdash, who used to see the new moon and transmit that to the Sanhedrin, and now we have the fixed calendar. But that is that human input, which is such an integral part of our relationship with Hashem, because on the one hand we have the absolute commandments that we must accept from Hashem, the mitzvot, that we are not affecting, we are not changing, we are carrying them out. And then we have the category of those commandments, those the instructions around the Chagim, that we are the ones who have the input, who are partners with Hashem in this enterprise. And giving us this opportunity is such an important way that we achieve Dveikut. We have both sides of the coin, that we accept and we surrender to Hashem, and we don't question, and on the other hand we have our contribution, we have our input. And we read also, in addition to the Shalosh Regalim, which we're used to thinking of as the Moadim, we also have the passage that describes, that we actually say when we count the Sfirat HaOmer, when we make the daily count between Pesach and Shavuot. We have the passage that we read in addition to making the blessing, and that comes in this Sedra, and it is so appropriate that we are reading this Sedra during the time that we are counting the Omer. And we've often reflected that when you think that the entire Torah is divided into the various Sedras, that it's got to fit in to the 52 weeks of the year, and when we have an extra month, we have 4 extra Shabbatot, yet without fail, we will read this Sedra during the Omer. And we have the Pesukim that talk about the Sfirat HaOmer, and that is chapter 23, verses 15 and 16. Usafartem lachem macharas hashabbos, and you will count for yourselves on the day after the rest day. It's called Miyom Haviachem es haOmer hatanufa, from the day of your bringing the Omer of the wave offering. Sheva Shabbosos Tumimos Tiyena, 7 complete weeks. We're translating the word Shabbos as weeks. They will be Ad Mimachros HaShabbos HaShavios, until the day after the seventh the 7th week. Tisbru chamishim yom, you will count 50 days. Ve'krafta mincha chadash el Hashem, and you will draw near, you will bring close a new meal offering to Hashem. So we read these 2 verses on a daily basis during this time period, and it has a special connection when we read it during the actual time that we are saying we are counting the Omer. And I think that this enables us to have this dveikut with Hashem, to have this extra special close relationship, because we are on a journey from being liberated slaves at the festival of Pesach. When we leave Egypt, we have Yetziat Mitzrayim. But we are on a journey to receive the Torah every single year. It's not just something that happened when our ancestors left Egypt in the year 2448. We are doing it on an annual basis. And Hashem is giving us specific tools of, first of all, the psychology of the way we count, the fact that we count every single day as it becomes appropriate. We will first give the tally in days, and then once we have more than 7 days, we will, in addition, give the tally in weeks and days. So, for example, if you say on the 21st day of the Omer, then you will say this is 21 days. That is 3 weeks of the Omer. And why are we doing this? And one of the messages is that we have an opportunity every single day to max the moment, to look at that one day as the moment in time, the now, that I have the potential. We know we're informed by the past, but the past has gone. We can plan for the future, but that is uncertain. What we have is now. And when we invest our energy, our inspiration, our prayers, our thoughts, our actions into making this day, this moment, the best that we can, and that is one of the greatest methods that we have that we can achieve this special relationship of dveikut with Hashem. And so that is part of the invaluable message of the count that we read about in this week's Sedra. And I would also like to refer to the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, chapter 6, Mishnah 6, and that lists 48 qualifications to acquire the crown of Torah. And there is a very nice illuminated Pirkei Avot, Art Scroll edition. And what we have here is this table that gives us each, and it's divided into 7 by 7. And each day, each box has a particular way, particular method that we achieve this level of closeness with Hashem. And you can see that it's, on the one hand, it is a really spiritual concept that is very difficult to pin down, yet we have these 48 ways for 48 days, and the 49th is an opportunity to review all of them. But there are very, very concrete, specific steps. So just to read out with the suggestions, but Talmud, with learning, b'shmiras ha'ozen, with being careful with what we hear, ba'arichas ha'fosayim, with being careful with what we say, bevinas halev, with understanding in the heart, be'emor, with awe, b'yira, with reverence, ba'anova, with humility, b'simcha, with joy, b'tahara, with purity, b'shimash chachomim, by attending wise people, b'dikduk chaverim, by being very careful and particular in our relationship with our friends. And so this carries on, all 48 of them, and it gives us specific pointers, pathways that we can follow. This is not left up to our imagination. This is really not a tick box exercise, but giving us concrete suggestions that are going to take us to these higher levels, that are going to enable us to achieve this dveikut, this special closeness with Hashem. And in addition to these points that we read about in this week's Sedra of Emor, we have on Friday, the coming Friday, is the 14th of Iyar, and this is the the opportunity that we read about in the Torah, in the book of Bamidbar, in the book of Numbers, and that is in the Sedra of Bahalo Sacha. And Pesach Sheni was literally means the second Pesach. And this was when a group of people came to Moshe Rabbeinu because they had not been able to bring the Korban Pesach because of reasons beyond their control, because they had been in contact with a dead body, so they were ritually impure, or because they had been too far and they weren't able, for reasons beyond their control, to get back and bring the Korban Pesach. And this group of people say, and this we find this in chapter 9, chapter 9, verse 7, Vayomru ha'anashim ha'hema, and these people said, Elov, to him, to Moshe Rabbeinu, Anachnu tameim lenefesh adam. We are ritually impure because we have been in contact with a dead person. Lama nigora levilti hakriv es korban Hashem b'moado. Why should we be diminished because we are not able to bring the korban of Hashem at its appointed time, B'soch B'nai Yisrael, in the midst of the children of Israel? So I think that the lesson in how to achieve Dveikut that we learn from the people who asked Moshe Rabbeinu this question, like, what can we do? We were not able to bring the Korban Pesach. It was beyond us at that point, but why should we be diminished? And it was, I think, two elements here. The first is that they recognize that bringing the Korban Pesach was something that was an opportunity to elevate them, an opportunity to have this special, close relationship with Hashem. And they didn't want to be diminished. They wanted to have that full relationship with Hashem. So it's not a question of somebody who oversleeps or for some other reason can't be bothered and then says, oh, I missed the opportunity. These were people who, through no fault of their own, and their various midrashim as to why they were in this situation, according to some opinions, they were actually taking care of the bones of Yosef, and that's why they were fulfilling a particular mitzvah, and that's why they were had come into contact and were not able to bring the Korban Pesach. But the point is that they don't just say, we're going to do this anyway, even though we've missed the time, even though it's not according to halacha. They go to Moshe Rabbeinu, they bring their points, they share their concerns, and they wait for his response. And it is this combination of realizing that when we are performing mitzvahs, we are being given opportunities, gifts to work on our relationship with Hashem, to cultivate this extra degree of closeness with Hashem. And we can really see that it's not like, oh, this is such a bother, it's so expensive and grown. But this is, I'm so upset that I've missed this opportunity. Please, can you help me and see what we can do that perhaps we will be able to bring the Korban Pesach, which actually was the conclusion. Moshe Rabbeinu asks the question of Hashem, and Hashem says that they have this opportunity to bring it a month after the time that the Korban Pesach was actually due, which was the 14th of Nisan. And so they have the opportunity to bring it on the 14th of Iyar. And I think this is really also showing us in real time how we can develop this special relationship, this special closeness with Hashem. And on the other side of Shabbat, we have Lag BaOmer on Tuesday. So this 33rd day of the Omer, where the various customs of mourning that are associated with the Omer period are paused in some cases, or sometimes for certain people, the period of mourning, those customs will actually end on Lag BaOmer, on the 33rd day of the Omer. But this is celebrated as the day, the Hilula, the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is associated with the Zohar, a work of Kabbalah, of very rarefied spiritual content that is not widely learnt. But the great aura of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is really the primary association, and this is a custom of the bonfires and the bows and arrows. All of these are around the great sage of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And the Medrash tells us that the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had to go into hiding from the Romans, and he hid in a cave with his son for 12 years. And this is where he had the opportunity to work on that relationship, on that exceptional closeness with Hashem. And when he came out, he was on such a heightened spiritual level that he couldn't actually adjust to seeing people going about their business in the world, sowing and planting and reaping. And he couldn't understand how people who are supposed to be so spiritual can also have this very physical life as well. And Hashem says, you're not ready to come out yet. Go back into your cave for another year. And that's what Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar, his son, do. They go back into the cave for another year, and they come out and they see that really the best way for most people to achieve this special dveikut with Hashem is going to be through a synthesis of the spiritual and the physical, to take the daily activities of farming, of living, and to infuse them with holiness. That is going to be the way that we will actually be able to achieve this high level of connection, this dveikut with Hashem. So all of these themes combine, the Sedra, Pesach, Sheni, Lag BaOmer, they all give us these special tools where, when we look at them, that we think sometimes that life is a bit like a high wire, walking on a high wire. And as we're sort of balancing, trying to keep hold, whether it's a wind or a shock, we can so easily be derailed. It's really, if you imagine walking along this sort of tightrope over this very deep gorge, and the tools, this concept of dveikut with Hashem, gives us that confidence and that stability that we need as we tread the high wire of life with the challenges that we face. And all of this is going to be the greatest help for us to achieve our potential and achieve this very special, close and loving relationship with Hashem that we associate with the word dveikut. Thank you very much for listening, and wishing everybody Shabbat Shalom.